Let me show you the complete opposite of Scrooge, Fezziwig, because Dickens doesn't just tell us Scrooge is wrong, he shows us what he should have been. So let's look at how a second father. This shows Fezziwig is nurturing and protective, a heart as large as a waistcoat. This metaphor shows emotional generosity, and notice this isn't just about money, it's about how he treats people. Come in, come in. This enthusiasm creates a welcoming atmosphere. This happiness he gives is quite as great. Dickens is showing generosity is about emotional impact and not just wealth. And this is exactly what Scrooge fails to understand.
Learn with Miss BB and smash the AOs.
He was a second father to the apprentices, as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man, as good old City knew. He had a heart as large as his waistcoat. Starting with this extract, how does Dickens present Fezziwig as a generous character? In this extract, in the rest of the novella. Before we even start writing, this is your plan. This slide is telling you exactly what to do in the exam. Let's get the ideas clear first. From the extract, Fezziwig is caring and generous. He treats his workers like family. From the rest of the novella, we know he is welcoming and values relationships. His generosity creates happiness. So your argument is already clear. Fezziwig represents true generosity and acts as a contrast to Scrooge. I would like you to take a screenshot of this infographic. This is revision gold. If you learn this, you already know your ideas, you already know your quotes, and you already know what they mean, and that saves you time in the exam. This question is about the theme of generosity versus greed. So these are the key quotations you need to know from the extract. Second father, which shows he's caring, protective, and family. And it's all about family. Heart as large as his waistcoat shows generosity and warmth. And from the rest of the novella, come in, my dear fellow, shows that he's welcoming, he's kind. The happiness he gives is quite as great, which shows the impact of generosity. If you know these, you are fully prepared for this theme. In the exam, keep it simple. 2 ideas from the extract that you have in front of you and 2 ideas from the rest of the novella. That gives you 4 paragraphs. In each paragraph, start with a clear point. So that is your AO1. With a quotation, zoom into keywords or methods, that's your AO2, so you're identifying methods such as onomatopoeia, personification, such as pathetic fallacy, dramatic irony, and then you're zooming into words and looking at the implicit meanings. Explain the effect and Dickens' message, so that is your AO3, where you're bringing in the contextual factors. If you've been taught what, how, why, use that. If you have been taught Spectralad, which is what my class have been taught, use that, but every paragraph must hit all 3 AOs. This slide is your shortcut. If you revise this properly, you walk into the exam already knowing what to write. Right, we'll quickly go through the grading criteria again. So this slide is probably the most important one because this is how you are assessed or you are graded. Start with a big picture. This question is out of 30 marks, AO1 12 marks, AO2 12 marks, AO3 is 6 marks. So straight away, what does that tell us? AO1 and AO2 matter the most. If you're not analysing language, you are capping yourself. AO1, that's your ideas, what you say. So let's start with AO1. This is your ideas and your argument. To hit this well, stay focused on the question. Use relevant quotations. Build a clear argument across the essay. Top students, they don't just describe, they argue. That's why we said 2 ideas from the extract, 2 from the rest of the novella. That already builds a strong AO1 response. AO2 method. This is where top grades are made. AO2 is analysing Dickens' methods. That means you're zooming into keywords. You're identifying techniques such as metaphor, repetition, alliteration, and you're explaining the effect. Not just this is a metaphor, but what it shows and why Dickens uses it. Every paragraph must include an AO2. No exceptions. AO3, that's your context, why it matters. AO2, this is not just naming facts. It's about linking to a Victorian society, linking to Dickens' message, and linking to readers' impact. If it doesn't link to your point, it doesn't get you the marks. I've also attached the mark scheme. So let's just quickly look at the levels. Level 6, grade 8 to 9. It's all about perceptive, conceptual argument, detailed analysis, integrated content. This is what we will be seeing in the model. Level 5, grade 7 to 8, that is thoughtful, clear explanations, good analysis. Level 4 and below, basic explanation, limited analysis, general comment. This is where students describe instead of analyze. Make sure you are analyzing. If you want grades 8 to 9, you need to make sure you're using your analytical and your critical thinking skills. Just some warnings. Make sure you don't examiner warnings. These are important. If you don't analyze words, don't include methods, don't go beyond the extra, you cannot reach the top levels. So analyze, include methods, go beyond the extract. Don't just talk about the extract, talk about what's happening elsewhere in the play or the novella. So when you write, always think, have I made a clear point? Have I analysed a word or method? Have I explained Dickens' message? If yes, you are hitting top marks. So let's start like an examiner. This is a strong introduction, and here's why. The student immediately answers the question, Fezziwig, generous, warm, and moral goodness, and links him to Scrooge. That's conceptual. They bring in Dickens' message, social responsibility, compassion over money. So that's AO3. This is what we call a conceptual argument, not just describing the character, but explaining what Dickens is saying overall. So it's clear, focused, relevant, strong AO1, and the message and bigger ideas, AO3 already embedded. Paragraph 1, the student has picked the quotation second father. So now let's zoom in like an examiner. AO1, clear point, Fezziwig is nurturing and generous. AO2, this is strong. They zoom into the word father, not just spotting it, but they explain what it suggests. Care, protection, emotional support. And that's not basic, it's developed analysis. AO3, they link to Victorian ideas of responsibility and employers caring for workers. This is important because it's not random context, it's directly linked. So they've got a method identified, word level analysis, effects explained, context linked to ideas, and that's hitting AO2 and AO3 securely. Let's look at paragraph 2. So they have picked the quotation from the extra, heart as large as his waistcoat. Again, let's look at it like an examiner. AO1, clear, focus on generosity, stays on the question. AO2, this is very strong. They identify the metaphor, exaggeration, then they explain abundance, limitless kindness. This is what moves it into higher marks, not just naming the method, but explaining its meanings. They link it to Christian values and Victorian beliefs about charity, that's AO3. Again, purposeful context, not bolted on. They've got a detailed analysis, language analysis, clear effect, context linked to message. So this is already pushing them into a grade 7 to 9 AO2. Paragraph 3. This is where they are making links to the rest of the novella. Come in, my dear fellow. So this is a quotation that they have memorized because this is not in their extract. Now we move to the rest of the novella. This is the key for top marks. AO1, clear shift, shows knowledge beyond the extract. AO2, they analyse repetition, explanations, tone, and they explain excitement, warmth, and welcoming nature. This is layered analysis, multiple methods, not just one. AO3, they link it to kindness, community, and contrast with Scrooge. That contrast is crucial. It shows deeper understanding. So it covers whole text, important for AO1, multiple methods, strong AO2, clear message AO3. Paragraph 4. So again, they are making links to the rest of the novella. They've picked the quotation, the happiness he gives. This is where the answer becomes perceptive. So AO1, they've still focused on generosity and impact. AO2, very perceptive. They're zooming into the noun, happiness. They explain the emotional impact, the lasting effect. Generosity, is measured by impact, not money. This is abstract thinking, exactly what top band looks like. AO3, they link it to challenging materialism, Dickens' message about compassion, conceptual interpretation. They use sophisticated analysis, clear writer's message, and this is a top strong band thinking. Let's just do a quick conclusion walkthrough. So the conclusion, short but effective. Your conclusion doesn't need to be long. AO1, clear overall judgment about Fezziwig. AO3 links back to Dickens' message and audience. It doesn't repeat. It summarizes the argument, which is clear, focused, tied to the message. If I was marking this is quite a good response because they have included conceptual argument throughout. AO1, consistent word level analysis, embedded relevant context, and it covers the extra and the whole text.